Welcome to the seventh and final week of the season of Easter 2024. It is Friday, May the 17th. I'm Gloria, your host for the Manna at the Tap podcast. The lectionary text chosen is from the ancient book of Job as we listen to Job's youngest friend, Elihu, whose name in Hebrew is My God is He. Elihu's speech is from Job chapters 32 to 37, and the reading for today narrows in on Job 37, verses 1 to 13. Job is surrounded by his three older friends, Zophar, Eliphaz, and Bildad, who are there to comfort him amid his suffering. But they have only brought more unresolved questions to Job's mind. Elohim has been listening intently to the conversation between Job and his other three friends. Now it is his turn to speak. And Elohim is going to be talking about the weather patterns. Elohim observed God's power, and the subject, as I said, of his discussion was the weather patterns. And he asked how often Job thought of the weather patterns as giving glory to God, not only in the thunder and lightning, but also in the more common changes in the weather. Elihu draws Job's attention to listen and hear the greatness of God's voice, which sounds like thunder. And Psalm 29 describes a thunderstorm. The psalmist says, "It is the voice of the Lord over the waters. The God of glory thunders. The Lord thunders over the mighty waters. It is loud. And as the thunder ends, the Lord strengthens his people and blesses them with peace." Elihu was angry with Job because Job presumed to know more than he should. He challenged him to learn from God and observe the weather patterns in nature. There was more than just thunder. There was snow and rain, and nature directed all creatures to shelter and protect themselves during a storm. Humans, though, they murmur about the weather when there is a storm, forgetting the rest of the year when the weather is favorable. We should remember the words of the psalmist. This is the day the Lord has made. We must rejoice and be glad in it and not use our words to murmur and complain. Elihu described God's voice as being like a mighty thunder. Then he described how God's voice commands the snow, the gentle rain, and the heavy rain. God uses his breath to make ice over the waters so that those guys could go ice fishing and some of you can go skating. The weather patterns are of old, and no one can escape them. God fills clouds with rainwater and hurls lightning from them every which way. When God sends the cold and the snow, the farmers cannot do their work. But this is an opportunity for them to reflect on God's work in the weather. Elihu considered the weather in all its glory to be God's glory. The weather calls us to stop our work, look up, and wonder at God's glory. When Job was asked why he was suffering, Elihu told him to begin with God and not with himself. Job needed to appreciate God's greatness, and who better illustrated that than creation, which submitted to God? Job could learn a great deal about God's ways by observing nature. A storm may present the outward appearance of chaos and being out of control, but the Creator remains in absolute control of every detail. So, when life storms come our way, we are often like Job. We quickly forget that God is in control and that his extravagant love for us surrounds us, and nothing can separate us from that love, no matter what storms pass through our lives. What we need to do is we need to look up and look out as God demonstrates his power in creation.